everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Heather with Rose Hill Paper Cottage, and this is my design team project for Ruby and Pearl XO. So today we're going to use these Petit Paper Strips. It's a new kit that Heather's put out, and I'm over the moon. I just love them so much. I just had so many ideas, just flowing through my head of how you can use these. And today we're going to make some matchbooks. So I printed out these two strips onto cardstock. And then there's this other page too that you can print. I printed this out on tea-dyed paper. I won't actually use this one, but if you want to make smaller matchbooks, that's like perfect for doing that. So this one I left blank. I'm going to cover it with something else. And then this one I actually printed one of the digital prints from 38 Rue Bourbon. I just thought that would be really pretty on the inside. And then I just printed out, a couple wallpapers that I really like. And on the back sides, I just used pages for writing surfaces from the Antique and French Papers kit. So that's really all you need. You don't really need much stuff. So you can kind of make these whatever size you want. I'm going to maximize and use that whole entire strip for my matchbook. But you could obviously make a smaller one. It doesn't really, matter. So my sheet is 8.5 by 11. And I am going to score it at, I believe, 1 1/4 and at 6. Uncut, so I haven't cut anything yet. And I'm going to score at the top because that top portion is actually going to be the bottom that folds up, and then the bottom of the strip is actually going to be the front. So that's what I was kind of showing when I was folding it kind of temporarily there to show you the direction of it. So I'm just kind of gauging, will I like it if I score it at that, 1 1/4? You may want to have like a deeper tuck. You may want to have a skinnier one. It's totally up to you, but scoring them all first will just make the whole process a lot quicker when I go to cut them all out. So I just lightly score a couple times. And then I'm just double checking that I'm going to like where it folds at. But honestly, I don't think you can go wrong. I mean, wherever you fold it, however, whatever size you make these, they're going to be, perfect, I think. They're so cute. You could actually even, when I scored it at the 6, if you wanted to have like a little bit of a thicker matchbook, kind of like the traditional one, because it housed matches. So it would have had like, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, maybe up to 1/4 of an inch, depth. Then you would score twice if you want like a bigger one. Mine's just going to be completely flat because I'm just going to be putting scrappy papers inside. So I've scored the second one. And then I'll cut it all up. Super easy to do with a paper trimmer. Now, at this point, if you don't want your book as wide as the strips, you could totally cut them skinnier. You could have really super skinny, matchbooks. I think that would be a really cool idea. You could actually like cut each of these strips in half and have really, skinny ones, or just even, just a more narrow one. Totally up to you. These are basically just going to create, more writing space. These are great little things to make for like, your pen pals, thank yous. I mean, anything. I mean, they're going to be so super cute. You really can't go wrong. So now I just fold them at all their spots. So these, I'm just going to use some brown packaging paper to just layer on the back, just to kind of get rid of the white surface. You don't have to do that step if you don't want to. And you could do what I did with the other ones, which is just print something completely different. The reason I'm using the brown packaging paper is not only do I want to show you another idea of the end product, like what it will look like, but I kind of like that it's going to have like kind of the, unfinished edges, that it's not going to be so perfect. Because I'll like tear it with a ruler. It'll just have kind of more of an aged, shabbier feel. I really like how, these turned out. So I'm just using a simple glue stick just to glue it down. And I'm using the bone folder to just smooth everything out. And then I just like let them dry. And I do that with all 3 of those strips. I'll jump ahead so you won't, see me do everything individually. I would say this craft project, like in total to do, I'm going to make 6 of them. So in total to do all of them, I probably crafted for about, 2.5 hours, I would say. So, I've cut obviously all that out. So there you see, I've got the ones that have the brown. So I'm just refolding those after I've glued. So I thought it was helpful to fold them first, then put the brown packaging paper, and then fold it again. I just felt like it just kind of helped with the whole folding, having that extra material inside. But I didn't feel like it bulked it up at all. That packaging material is, really thin. So you can see here I've left some of the packaging material kind of just like over the edges and just kind of more of that shabbier, look. So this one has like the tag, which has a hole. And so I'm just going to go with it. And I'm going to actually punch a hole where that tag is. So this is a perfect spot to, hang a charm off or just some ribbon or whatever. I'm going to actually put an eyelet in there and then I will add ribbon. But I think I do the ribbon later. So I'm just using a small little, I think it's like 1/8 of an inch eyelet. But again, you can totally skip that part. You don't have to punch anything if you don't want to. I just think it's cute. And then I did like some real light inking, for the most part around these, just to kind of give it that, kind of aged look. It's been around. It's not so crisp and new. Because I printed out on a white cardstock, there's white edges, when you cut things. So just a little bit of aging with everything. So now I am taking a little bit of ledger paper and then these wallpapers, and I'm just going to trim them down to be the width of the matchbook and for the most part the length, but it doesn't have to be, you can have them all staggered and everything, and you'll see that as I do it. So this is just some scraps of ledger, and I am going to just, cut them all, or actually tear them. I think I tore everything. I don't think I actually cut anything. So I've set those aside, and then I'll start, with the wallpapers. And she has tons of beautiful, beautiful wallpapers. I just kind of, picked some favorite ones, ones that kind of, really went with this collection, I thought of. But I mean, there's so many different colors in these petite paper strips that, you can really do anything. You could even just do all plain paper inside if you wanted to. But I love the pop of the color inside. I hope I'm not sniffling too much. My allergies are kind of out of control at the moment. This paper collection, I'll try to put below this actual one what number it is. It's more of a newer release of hers, those 4. And I think the other one that I printed like 4 to a page, that smaller print. So all of her wallpapers have just, where you could print the wallpaper the full size, or, 4 to a page, 2 to a page, whatever you want. But then each collection, of like 4 wallpapers, you can also print all 4 of those on a page. which is awesome, because a lot of times that's the size I typically use. I mean, I do use sometimes the full size sheet, but I find myself, using that smaller print, because the smaller you make the image, the more you're going to see of the image onto your actual, project. So this here, I just kind of folded in half. So it's got that lined, kind of paper, aged paper on the back, and then the wallpaper on the front. And you're not going to see the little white, piece, from each image, because that's going to be, stapled, or however I do a couple different options for closing these. So however I end up, closing them, that's going to be in the bottom. So it'll make sense as you watch along. And then I kind of give a little bit of a light inking, for pretty much like all the papers. So on this one, I'm just adding a little bit of the age tape that I've made. And I'm just kind of layering the paper, seeing, what I like after I've, got them all trimmed and kind of ready to go. And I just start kind of like layering them all together. I think they're so cute. So they can all stay, in the matchbook, or, they can be torn out of the matchbook, whatever you want to do. But I just think they're so pretty, just all layered like that. And then the inside of the matchbook, you can also write inside of it. So I think it's really super cute. You could go, even further with this, and actually, put photos in there, or, put some of the labels on the actual pages, or, other pieces from other kits, There's just a lot of different things that you could do with this. I also think it'd be really cute to print out. She's done these like quotes, and I think, printing them small enough to fit in these matchbooks, I think that would be really cool too. And just filling it up. And I think for these, I only did like 3 or 4 pages. I probably could have gotten away with a little bit more, since they're all just, thinner papers. But, you get the idea. You just play around with it. That one, I just put a little brad at the bottom. So I did staples. I did a brad. I also did like an eyelet at the bottom of it, which you'll see. So here I've just got all the papers lined up, and I'm just kind of showing you what I did. I even took like an old envelope and used it as a page. And then another piece of like ledger that had like a tab on it. I thought that was really cute. So just from my scrap bin. So I'm thinking now, like, what I'll do next, which ones am I going to put into which book? So I kind of had this idea that another way that you could actually do this is, I have this little Tim Holtz, like perforator. I think that's what it's called. And you could, run that across the bottom and then have a perforated edge. You could also use an awl and just kind of like poke little holes in it if you wanted to. What I found here, though, using that, is that the paper is a little bit too thin, and so the perforations are kind of too close together, and so they kind of like would, tear already. So I wasn't incredibly fond of that, so I only did a couple of them that way with using that tool. But overall, I think, it's just as simple just to, put a ruler across if you choose to tear these out. To just tear your individual, pieces. or using the awl so that you could space things out a little bit better, have a little bit more control over it. I just felt like that tool, the perforations were just too close together. So it was almost, instead of perforating, it was almost like you were just kind of like putting a light cut, all the way across. If you were using thicker papers though, so say you printed out everything on like cardstock pieces, then I think it would work a lot better. But these papers are just too thin. But if you are going to do it, what I found was I kind of marked where the lip of the bottom of the matchbook is, and then I just kind of made like a light little pencil mark, and then I just kind of moved the ruler up just a little bit so that the perforation was a little bit higher, so that when it was going to be torn out, it would be easier. I hope that makes sense. But honestly, you don't even need it. I'm not even sure, like, because I only did, like 3 or 4 pages in it, that it's even anything that would actually be, like if I put it into a journal, I just feel like it might be used as just writing, on the pages and leaving them in the booklet as opposed to taking them out. But who knows? That option's there. So I'm just lining this one up. Doesn't that look so cute? I think that's really cute. So I think I do the eyelet on this one. Oh no, I chose to staple it. I know why, is because the writing is on the bottom and then the eyelet would have just like covered up that writing. So I'll choose to do it on a different one. Just because I like the way that it is better. Where the hole would be, for the eyelet on the bottom. The main thing is that whatever you choose to do on the bottom, whether you staple or put a brad in or an eyelet or whatever, is that you leave enough of a lip for the top flap to catch inside. So, there's quite a bit of room to really work with, given that I gave it about, like a 1/2 inch lip. So I probably would kind of keep it either to the middle of that flap or lower. It doesn't need a lot of a lip, to go in. So just like that. So she also came out with this bird, kit, and they're so cute. And this particular one from that kit, I have actually printed the page of 4 to a page, because that's the size that I needed. But I thought these would kind of be really pretty, and just so cute on the front of these matchbooks. These would also make really cute charms too. Or like little tags. Those would be cute too. Even printing them like 2 to a page so that you have 8 images. But it's a pretty selection of birds. And the colors in them, it just kind of gives a little bit of pizzazz to the front of the matchbook. So I'm just taking, some aged paper. So I have like book page, and what I'm using right now is this paper had some like Western Union telegrams like pasted to it, or tacked down, I should say. And so it's just a really cool aged paper with the lines. And so I'll use that as the backing, for this particular bird image. So I'm just kind of, just kind of crumpling the paper up around it. It's quite a fragile paper that I put on the back there. So it, kind of tears easily and stuff and folds and bends. And I like the overall, look that it gives. And I think I just clipped this one on. I'm trying to remember. Oh no, this is the one I actually use a safety pin. So I rusted some safety pins, and I'll actually use that. And when you rust things, I mean, obviously that could kind of get onto your image. So, you don't have to use a rusted one if you don't want to. You could use like a nicer, pin. But also rusted pins, they're a little bit harder to like kind of get to go through things because, they've got that added like, roughness and texture on them. So it was a little bit tricky trying to get that not only through the bird image, but also through that cardstock. And I even pre-punched like little holes, but it still was a little bit tricky, but I think it looks really cute. I'm just using a little bit of old lace here, or old crocheted trim maybe. And I'm just like tying like a little, piece of it on to the safety pin. I think it looks really cute. So just like simple, details like that. So what's cool is that bird, you could actually write on the back of that. And then that's kind of like a little secret, spot. Because most people wouldn't think to, flip that up or whatever. If you can tell, I'm like obsessed with like just secret little hidden spots. I think it's the best. I always wanted like, like a bookcase in my room when I was like a kid that like would open up, and I kind of actually had something like that, but it wasn't camouflaged. It was like this little door, and you could go in, and it was just like part of the attic space. So I, could technically have gone in there, but it wasn't really hidden because, you could see that there was like this little door there, but I always had imagined like it would be so cool had we had attached, like a bookcase to the front of it so that, it was actually truly like a hidden little spot, in the attic. I thought it was so cool. I actually had one in the floor of my bedroom as well. I'm just now remembering that we changed out carpet, and when I picked out the new carpet and they pulled up the old carpet, there was like a little hidden like secret spot in the floor. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything in there, so I was incredibly disappointed, as a teenager, but it's probably still there. And if the same carpet is in there, they don't know it's even there. I should have tucked a little note in there. I had thought about it, but I didn't do it. So this bird, I just love it. It's so cute. And I think I'll end up actually backing it with some paper, and then I'll run that through the sewing machine just to give it a little bit of, detail. I'm just going with the flow, what I think. I really liked it on that matchbook, but it just kind of blended in. And so I think that black stitching, just helps it to stand out. So even though there's a lot of things kind of going on with the matchbook, you could take like any kind of image to make it a focal point. So whether that be, any other type of image or a photo or anything like that, I think those would be, it would be really cool. Or some tickets, maybe some vintage tickets or tickets you've made. So this is the one I did the eyelet on as well. And so I just attached this cute little, sari ribbon on the bottom as like a little bow. Isn't that adorable? That's so cute. So here I'm going back to the one with the eyelet, the tag, and I originally was gonna do like a bow, but I just thought it was too much because that tag is small And I just was trying to stay, with, instead of a bow for the whole overall thing, I just wanted to focus like on the actual tag and what kind of tie would be on it. So you can see I did like a really small one there. So I have another bird image, and I'm going to back it with this, I think this is like, either the front or back piece of like a book. And I just love the way that the paper, had torn out. And so I'll just kind of use that to just kind of work with this, image where it just kind of folds over. And then I'll get rid of the excess. And then I'll clip this on, and I'll add a little bit of, I have kind of like this really pale pink blush kind of colored sari. And then I use like a little piece of like this gold, trim, and I'll put it on the clip. And then I think I leave one plain. So that way you can just kind of see, you can leave these really simple and they're already pretty as is, or you can kind of, do some different things, layer different things on back of them, book page, packaging paper, or just printing, a different image out if you want to use it for writing space. You could also actually print the wallpaper pattern on the back side of the matchbook. I think that would be really pretty as well. And then do more plain papers inside if you wanted. There's just a lot of different things. You could decorate each of the individual, papers to kind of, go with whatever project that you're going to put them in, or tuck something in between the pages. There's just a lot of different ways that you can, create these and make them just so beautiful. So I'll just kind of go through every single one of these and just kind of show you, how they ended up. And I love them. I love the way that they turned out. There's so much like additional writing space. It's such a simple little project, and there's so many different ways that you can do it. So I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope it gave you some ideas. You can find this actual all these digitals in Heather's shop, and I'll put the her shop below, along with the kit names that I used. So if you try some of these out, I would love to see, what you create, and, you can tag me on Instagram, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me below. But I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and, I will see you in the next video. So just enjoy the rest of this. All right. Bye-bye.